Wake up YouTube and welcome to another episode of The Hunter Show. So the number one complaint that most players have when they play Pokemon, competitively at least on Pokemon Showdown, is why is this game so complicated? Why are there so many rules and why can't I just use my team from in-game on the simulators? And at first glance this makes sense. I mean, most people can't play with the Pokemon they've grown up and raised with in their games, and their moves are usually banned as well, like you can't use Double Team. But why is this? Why are there so many rules and clauses in Pokemon in the first place? Well, it's kind of surprising, but most competitive Pokemon players actually believe Pokemon is fundamentally imbalanced. This is different from a game like Smash, where most players believe the game as it's made, as it's shipped, is balanced, because most competitive players believe that, at least the way Nintendo makes the game for singles, it's completely imbalanced. Most people think that this is simply due to Nintendo making all their official tournaments doubles or VGC, and therefore the game is balanced around doubles, but not singles. For example, Mega Gengar is a huge threat in singles. It was banned from OU, almost banned from Ubers, but in VGC, he's not that much of a threat. He's above average. Last episode, if you haven't seen it, you should probably see it. Hint, hint. I explained that all bans in Pokemon come down to two features: over-centralization and luck. We want to be sure that when we make a metagame, it's diverse and the outcome of matches is dependent on player actions, not luck. So let's just go through a lot of bans, a lot of the most controversial bans that don't really seem to be too about luck, and see why these bans even exist. First of all, the existence of tiers. So hopefully it's straightforward that tiers mainly exist to combat over-centralization. There are 5 main tiers: Ubers, OU, UU, RU, and NU, 6 if you include PU, that's the tier below NU, and this lets Pokemon that would get bodied in one tier thrive in another. Double Team and other evasion boosting moves, those moves are banned simply because they base the game around a coin flip. Moody, once again, is an ability that works just like that. Now, some people argue that it is possible to beat evasion boosters by running teams with Haze and Roar, and therefore evasion should be allowed as it's a counterable strategy, and technically it is. However, the problem is that if you want to build a team that's accurately and reliably able to stop an invasion team, you end up sabotaging the quality of the team heavily in order to stop, a perceived sweeper using Double Team. When this was actually suspect tested, when moves like Double Team were suspect tested, what we found is that this led to sort of rock, paper, scissors scenario, where evasion teams could use Double Team and beat normal teams. Normal teams could beat anti-evasion teams because anti-evasion teams had weakened themselves just to counter evasion, and anti-evasion teams could beat evasion teams. So pretty much the ladder was reduced not to how good your team was, but to what kind of team you came up against. Thirdly, we have Sleep Clause. Now, Sleep Clause is another clause that doesn't seem that much about luck. The problem in Pokemon is that sleep is the second most debilitating condition you can inflict. It's second only to freeze, and it's the most destructive condition that has a reliable way to put the opponent to sleep. Dark Void, Spore, etc. And whenever you have Sleep Clause off, whenever it's possible to sleep multiple opponents at once, the strategy in singles entirely revolves around getting as many opponents to sleep at once. You can see this in Red and Blue, where even though there's Sleep Clause, pretty much the first turn of the game is determined by who puts the other person to sleep. People run their lead exclusively to get a hypnosis off. And the problem is when both people run this strategy, when both people try to get the fastest sleep possible, it ends up as a coin flip because of a speed time. So each clause, especially each of those big 3, is a conscious effort to move the game away from luck, or over-centralization, but mostly luck. We want a game where the outcome is not determined by RNG or third-party chance, but by the individual actions of the players. And to some extent, there is a threshold we can accept. We're willing to accept stuff like a move missing, critical hits, but even those things aren't that clear-cut. For example, Scald is a move with a 30% chance to burn, and Scald is extremely accepted in Ubers and OU. But in RU and UU, it was extremely controversial. It got to the point where most of the top players in UU were arguing that the 30% burn chance from Scald actually turned a lot of lower tier games into coin flips. Therefore, UU has created an experimental ladder right now where Scald is banned, and they're going to start testing it out to see, is a 30% burn chance too much luck for the game? And this is something I like about Pokemon and I like about suspect tests in general. If we think something's a problem, we can reliably test it over and over and over again. Test it empirically with something akin to the scientific method to see if this really is a problem. So I'm interested in seeing how UU's experiment will turn out. Do you think Scald is going to get banned in the lower tiers? And there you have it. Why does the game even need bans at all? So if you guys like this episode, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, and follow us at Twitter at PokefluteYT. YT obviously standing for YouTube. So peace out, guys, and see you next week.